Hey, 6th grade, this is the first day of Lesson 8. So we're Lesson 8, Day 1. Your book should be on page 8283. If not, pause the video while you get your book. So as we go through this, I'm going to give you a couple choices here. So this first page on 82 is our introduction lesson, and it's introducing you to dividing multi-digit numbers. Now, what we're going to do here is, your choice is, choice 1, after we read this problem, is for you to pause the video and try these 7 problems, A through G, on your own. Choice 2 is, if you're reading through them, and I'd like you to start going through them, but any that you're stuck on, you can watch the video and do them with the video. Because some of these questions, you might, they can be a little iffy on what they're asking. But let's get started. So here's what it says. It says, in 5th grade, you learned how to divide using models and partial quotients. Take a look at this problem. So it says, for a fundraiser, the 6th graders have 288 bags of popcorn to sell. There are 3 6th grade classes. If each class sells an equal number of bags, how many bags of popcorn does each class sell? So when you think about that, the 6th grade is splitting up the 288 bags into 3 groups. Each 6th grade class is a group because they're selling an equal number of bags. So that's your hint that it would be a division problem. So now, understanding that problem, here's where you're going to decide. Do you want to try to do A through G on your own? Now, you could always do them, write down your answer when you watch it. When you restart the video and watch it, you just change your answers if you're wrong, no big deal. Or you can do it with me with the video now. So I'm okay with either one in this lesson. Either way, I'm going to get started. So A says, use a bar model to represent the problem. Fill in the hole and the number of groups. So the hole here would be our 288 bags of popcorn being split into 3 groups. Okay? And that's what each of these bars represents, are your 3 groups. Okay. Now B says, what division expression represents this problem? So the division expression would be 288 bags of popcorn divided into 3 groups. Okay? Now C says estimate the quotient. The quotient is around blank. Explain your thinking. So depending on your estimate here, if I were estimating this, I might say, you know what? It could be, maybe I would round it to 300 divided by 3, which is about 100. But I could also use what I call friendly numbers, and friendly numbers are easy to divide in your head. Like, for example, I know 9 times 3 is 27, right? So 9 times 30 is 270. So I could also say 270 divided by 3 would be 90. So either one of those would be good estimates, and notice the quotient's kind of close. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with 270 divided by 3. So that would give me a quotient of around 90. Now when it says explain your thinking, I'm just thinking 270 is close to, what was the original number? 288. Okay? And it's easy to divide by 3 because 3 goes into 27 9 times. All right, now, using your estimate, at least how many bags of popcorn should each class sell? So, since this is a low estimate, because 270 is less than 288, each class should sell at least 90 bags. Now, they are going to sell more than 90 bags because the original number, 288, is more than 270. So, but they should at least sell 90 bags, right? Okay, plus some more. Now, in E it says how many bags are left to sell altogether and by each class. So let me explain this one for you here. So what we just did when we rounded it is I rounded my bags of popcorns down to 270 to estimate, to do 270 divided by 3. But the original bags of popcorn is 288. So how far down did we round down? Well, if I were to do 288 minus 270, we rounded down, we lowered it by 18 bags of popcorn. So the answer to this question, how many bags are left to sell altogether? Well, they would still have 18 more bags to go from 270 to 288. Now by each class, well, if you split those 18 bags up 3 ways, split them up by the 3 classes, each class has 6 more bags to sell because 18 divided by 3 is 6. All right? Now F says, how many more bags can each class sell? How do you know? Well, we just answered that in E. So they can each sell 6 more bags. And I would say because the 6 bags they could each sell times the 3 classes would give you the 18 bags total that were short from our estimate. So remember, the 18 bags added on to 270 would get you up to 288. Now G says, explain how to find the total number of bags of popcorn each class can sell. So let's see if you can follow my reasoning here. I'm going to write it down, but then I'll go back and explain it. So remember, the original problem is 288 divided by 3, and we need to figure out that answer, right? So here's what we did. We rounded, we estimated down, oops, not the 3, to 270. Divided by 3 is 90. So that says at this point, each class is going to sell about 90 bags. All right? But remember, when we estimated down from 288 to 270, we reduced that number by 18 bags. So we're 18 bags short. Okay? Now those 18 bags short, we said, can be split up 3 ways into 6 bags. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. So each class is 6 bags short. Okay? So now think about it. Our estimate, let me switch colors here, was each class is going to sell about 90 bags, but we said each class is about 6 bags short. So what do you think we could do with those 6 bags to get our exact answer? Well, if we take the 90 bags that each class is going to sell about and add the 6 bags short, our answer is going to be 96 bags. All right? Now, that's where I tried to show you before I write it, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain that here. Okay. So when it says explain how to find the total number of bags of popcorn each class can sell, this is what I would do. I will take the estimate. I'll put that in parentheses, 90 bags, and add the 6 bags that each class will have to sell, or that each class needs to sell. To get 96 bags. Okay? So you could pause the video to write that if you need to. If you had it in your own words, great, even better. Now what that means, if we go back to this original problem here, 288 divided by 3, it's going to be 96. So I can check that in a little bit. Now this was just going through to help you understand other ways to split 288 up 3 ways. So that took a lot of thought. So don't stress if that was like, ooh, that's kind of confusing, because you know what? We have division problems that make that easier. So on the next page, I've whited out the work that the book did. So if you look in your book, you'll see it all there, but I'd rather you watch. We're going to show you how to do 288 2 different ways. The first way is the partial quotient method. You may or may not have learned that in elementary school. The second way is what we call the division algorithm. So this is just the old-fashioned way that people have been using for years to solve division problems. All right, so let me show you here. We'll start with partial quotients, and we'll show you how this works. So remember that estimate where we estimated this to 270 divided by 3 and got 90, right? So I'm going to start there. So I know, for example, that 3 can go into 288 at least 90 times, which is 270. Okay? And if I subtract 288 from 270, I'm down to 18. Now remember in the last example, those 18 were the 18 that we were short, the 18 bags of popcorn short that we were. Now I'm going to switch colors here. So then I could say, I know 3 goes into 18 6 times. I'm going to write that 6 up here. And 6 times 3 is 18. And we're down to 0. Now, partial quotient says we then take these two numbers and add them together to get 96 bags of popcorn. Okay, so that's how partial quotients works in that situation. And some people really like doing division that way. All right, so now, in the traditional algorithm, which is kind of what most of you have probably learned, this is kind of what you do. What you do is you put 3, it doesn't go into the 200s, but it can go into the 28 tens. That's 200s and 8 tens. So 3 goes into 28 9 times, which is 27. Every time you subtract in this method, you must bring down. And notice we have that 18 again. And 3 goes into 18 6 times, which is 18, subtract 0. And notice it's a lot like partial quotients when you think of it. You see a lot of the same numbers in the work when you look at both. I see those 18s, and so they're not that different when you think of it that way. All right, so throughout this lesson, in Lesson 8, we'll be practicing both methods of division, and you can decide whatever you like better. I don't care. I'm used to this because this is how I learned as a kid, but I will also show you partial quotients. All right, now here's what I want you to do. In the reflection question, it says, to divide 343 by 9, would you use partial quotients or the division algorithm? Remember, that's the traditional way. Explain your reasoning. So what I want you to do is pause the video, write a few sentences there telling me what you would use. There is no wrong answer to this. But restart the video when you're done. Go. All right, so what did you think? Do you think you'll use partial quotients, or do you think you'll use a division algorithm? So I'm going to write something down. I'll pause it, and then I'll read it to you here real quick. Okay, so I'll share what I wrote. So I said I might use partial quotients because it is a new method. I like to learn new ways to solve problems. So, like I said, no wrong answer for that one. Whatever you wrote will be fine. But I do challenge you this, is as we're doing it, if you're familiar with one way, every once in a while try it the other way, because, sometimes it's good to learn a new way to solve problems. All right, anyway, you are done with me. Thanks for watching, guys.